Good evening, everyone. We welcome all of you to the third day of the event. So it's our pleasure to have with us today Dr. C. Vinod Kumar sir. And before he could start his presentation, I request our scholar Ms. Alekya to introduce Vinod Kumar sir to the audience. Over to Alekya.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, Vinod, sir.
Good
With
evening.
great Good evening, sir. With great pleasure and honor, I would like to introduce our resource person, Dr. C. Vinod Kumar, sir. Dr. C. Vinod Kumar, sir, holds a doctorate degree in hospital management and postgraduate degree in hospital management from Apollo Institute of Hospital Management and Allied Sciences, Chennai. He also possesses a postgraduate degree in business management from the Institute of Management Technology, Ghaziabad. His academia pursuits include postgraduate qualification in medical law and ethics, materials management, and labor laws with administrative laws. His career is characterized by a rich, unique, and distinctive fusion of academia, research, authorship, innovation, and industry expertise, spanning over 2 decades in renowned institutions. Sir is a recipient of multiple awards and accolades from various organizations, both within the country and abroad. Notably, he is the first healthcare management professional in India to be awarded with World Book of Records UK and the prestigious Guinness World Records. So we are fortunate enough to have you here, sir, and we would like to hear about customer centric sustainable supply chain management in healthcare from you, sir. I hand over the session to you, sir.
Uh, Thank you for the introduction, Ms. Alakya, and
Thank you, sir.
good day to everyone. It is a great privilege to be a part of this wonderful event. I express my thankfulness to the management team and organizing team of this international MDP, the University of Hyderabad, for providing me the opportunity to deliver a talk, and particularly on the sustainable supply chain management. Here I'm going to share my experience and knowledge that I've gained throughout my 2 decades of experience, uh, in
Sir, you can share your
healthcare.
screen, sir. You can share your
Yes,
screen.
correct, yes.
Yeah, please.
Can you able to see it?
Yes, sir, it is visible, sir.
Visible, right? Okay.
We little maximize. Yes, sir. Perfect.
Perfect, right? Okay.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Yes, I'm going to share my experience and views that I've gained in my experience in healthcare, and the topic is going to be on customer-centric sustainable supply chain in healthcare. When we say sustainability, let me clarify first. In a normal sense, the sustainability means what it means to everyone is the cost reduction, reducing the expenditure, and sustaining ourselves. So this is in a normal sense, everybody understands what is sustainability is. But in business environment, the sustainability term, it is having a different dimensions, different pillars. Like there are 3 pillars, 3 different dimensions. One is the social sustainability, economic sustainability, and environmental sustainability. These are the three considers the 3 pillars of sustainability. And any product, any service, when we procure, when we consume, it will have an impact on environment and also the organization and the economy, and it's having an impact on the economy and also the people and the community in and around, which means the employees as well. In healthcare, in hospital, yeah, plenty of resources are used, which will have an impact on environment and the economy of this institution and also the society and also the employees, and the community as well. As per the research studies of healthcare without harm, the healthcare contributes to 4.5% of the greenhouse gas emissions emitted. 4.5, which is a very huge amount. And that much greenhouse gas emissions is from the healthcare sector. It is sad to know that. And this greenhouse gas emissions, it results in climate change, and that leads to the global warming. So I was mentioning that hospitals they use plenty of resources. The resources in the sense like the metal resources, energy resources, water resources, and materials in the sense like medical and surgical products, medical devices, pharmaceutical products, and implants. All this means because the hospital consuming a very huge resources, and when we consume resources and when we dispose it, we are exercising a very huge pressure on our earth. The earth, when I say earth, that is the one and the only home for us to survive. And when we consume too much, just we have to think about: are we leaving anything for our future generation to meet their own demand? Our generation will pass on. What about our future generation? Our generation will suffer, but not that much because we consume a huge lot of resources, and that will have an impact on our future generation, and future generation may face difficulty in meeting their requirement and expectation because we know we are exploiting our resources, and we are having a huge impact on the environment. So what are the key takeaways in this talk? The what is the no I'm going to deliver a talk about the concept of the sustainable supply chain and its principles and its importance in hospital, and what are the key drivers and what are the different dimensions. As I was mentioning, there are three dimensions: social, economic, and environmental. And what are the impacts and considerations when it comes to sustainability, and the strategy focus on integrating the sustainability into the supply chain policy, and what are the challenges that we face, and what are the issues that we face when we implement sustainability, and what are the emerging trends in sustainability, and finally the circular economy. When I say circular economy, in linear economy, the we'll consume it, we'll produce items, we'll consume, and we'll throw it, and that will be put into the land fields. Whereas in circular economy, which means the items are all used to the maximum extent as possible, and thereby the disposal. When we say disposal, that will be a final resort. So that will I'll explain in the coming slides, and the few case studies related to the sustainability. Sustainability, as I was mentioning, it is all about meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generation to meet their own demand. That means we have to meet our requirement, and at the same time without compromising the ability of the future generations to meet their own demand. And as I was mentioning, which is having a three dimensions: environmental sustainability, economic sustainability, and social sustainability. When we say environmental sustainability, that's of primary importance because uh, this environment plays a very major role for a prosperous future. Then next comes to the social sustainability, the second importance, and third is economic. Without a prosperous or robust society, the economic sustainability does not cannot exist. What is the sustainable supply chain? The sustainable supply chain, it refers to how the businesses are identifying and reducing the environment impact of their supply chains. Identification and reducing the impact or minimizing the economic, no, minimizing the impact on the environment, and also encompassing the social and economic aspects. This includes identifying the right vendors, identifying the eco-friendly vendors, which are who are having a very low impact or no impact, and who are all involved in fair trade practices, and using the materials that are all source responsibility, like reusing the using the recycled paper, and reducing the waste by using the packaging materials. While we choose the packaging materials, ensure that the right option should be selected, thereby the packaging materials usage is reduced, and which is opposed to the earlier method of no earlier approach of throwing it away after use, and maintaining a healthy work environment where all the employees all feel respected and valued. Environmental sustainability. Environmental sustainability, that includes, when we say environmental sustainability, earlier the initial stage of this environmental sustainability starts with green procurement, wherein involved in eco environmental friendly procuring the environmentally friendly products, and ethically sourcing practices. And now it has been like the initial stage, it has been extended to the waste reduction, waste minimizing the waste reduction, and recycling and entertaining the recycling programs, and implementing the energy efficient technologies, and implementing the water conservation measures. And in social sustainability, which means that it includes ethical sourcing and community engagement, like engaging our local community for their empowerment, and so that that may lead to community resilience and community well-being and development. And diversity is inclusion is placing a very important role in social sustainability, like suppliers as and entertaining different suppliers, and including special category of community people, like minority owned, woman owned, or veteran owned, thereby that leads to the community development and humanitarian disaster relief. And these are all aspects comes under the social sustainability. When it comes to economic sustainability, cost management, like reducing the cost, and long-term investment, and supply chain resilience. When I say supply chain resilience, especially during COVID times, we might have experienced, like which has highlighted the weaknesses in supply chain particularly. And so developing a supply chain system, a robust system, a clinically integrated system, which can bounce back to the normal state. So no, in this world nobody can predict any disaster, whereas in case of like in a natural disaster, or it could be a geopolitical tension, or it could be pandemics like COVID. And at the same time, one can be well prepared to overcome such challenges, to overcome such issues, and we can bounce back to the normal state. So this is what the resilience, like bouncing back to the normal state. And these are the three dimensions, these are the three pillars of sustainability. And why does this sustainability, supply chain sustainability matter? That's very, very important. One is the environmental impact. When the sustainable practices, when we implement sustainable practices, like can be implemented by promoting the environmental friendly products that I was mentioning, and also by optimizing the transportation routes, and minimizing the waste generation, and adopting the waste segregation methods, and recycling programs, and composting, waste generation. And so here it plays a very important role, because it is having a very supply chain plays a major impact, role in the environmental impact and social responsibility. That includes like prioritizing the fair labor practices, and adhering to the ethical sourcing and ethical standards, and the community engagement, that is very, very important. And ensure that, more importantly, ensure that products are all produced under human working conditions, particularly the safe working conditions, and the products which are all produced which free from the conditions where it is free from exploitation or child labor practices. And economics efficiency, when it comes to, plays a very important uh, and this is the reason why the supply chain sustainability, because here the cost is reduced by effectively utilizing the resources, and thereby the operational cost is reduced, and the enhancing the efficiency, and thereby the benefits obtained by optimizing the cost. Those benefit can be passed on to the community, as well as that benefit the institution to uh, invest in their infrastructure and provide more care to the community, more service to the society. And another important matter is the risk management and resilience. When I say risk management, means like mitigating risk and maximizing value, and enhancing the resilience to the disruptions like natural disaster, geopolitical tensions, and pandemics, and also by diversifying suppliers. That is another key, not depending on a single supplier, by diversifying suppliers, and establish a contingency plan, like a business contingency plan. Suppose in case if we happen to face any risk, and if we happen to face any disruptions, how to manage the situation. We should have a business develop contingency plan. And also enhancing the transparency, which is no enhancing transparency. That's another, and ethical consideration is another main role there, whereas ensuring that the sustainable practices that we implement that align with the ethical principles and values of the healthcare delivery. And these are all the reasons, main reasons why the supply chain sustainability, particularly in healthcare, it matters. What is the significance of sustainable supply chain in hospital? One is the main one is the cost savings and the efficiency. As I was mentioning, by optimizing resources, optimizing the transportation routes for delivering of the material, like for example, like entertaining the local community, entertaining the nearby vendors, local vendors, thereby the efficiency can be, the fuel usage can be reduced, and thereby we can save a very huge amount, and thereby we can enhance the efficiency. And another importance is the risk mitigation and resilience, which I have covered in my previous slide, like mitigating risk and maximizing value, and environmental impact reduction. As I was mentioning earlier, the waste reduction and recycling, and also the donation programs to the charitable institutions, and thereby we can contribute to the conservation effects, and we can have a, we can minimize, or we can have a no impact on the environment. And community engagement, social responsibility is another important significance, and wherein we engage with the the healthcare providers, they engage with the local communities, they support the economic development of the local community, and sourcing locally, sourcing instead of depending on a vendor who's at a very distant place, and also supporting the small businesses, thereby uh, the hospitals can foster the community development, they can foster the community resilience, and more importantly, the community well-being. And another important significance is ethical sourcing, and the fair labor practices. Products that are all manufactured, we should entertain the products that those are all manufactured under human working conditions and adhering to the ethical standards. And green, no, like environmental friendly products, and entertaining those products, and ensure that the vendor adhere to the fair labor practices, ensure that the vendors provide a safe working conditions, and there's no, it is free from the exploitation and other unfair trade practices. So this is why the sustainable supply chain is very very important, and plays a very significant role in healthcare, not only in healthcare, in any sector. What are the key elements in supply chain sustainability? It starts with the green procurement. When I say green procurement, is like procuring the environmental friendly products, energy efficient, and implementing energy efficient programs, and thereby minimizing the negative impact on the environment. And waste reduction and recycling plays a very very important role, taking necessary measures to reduce the waste, and entertaining the recycling programs, and That is another key element. And energy efficient, implement energy efficient technologies, and implement the water conservation measures. That's another key important. This one, like for example, implementing the certain measures that reduce the water consumption, minimizing the wastewater generation, and promoting the responsible water management practices. So the another key element is ethical sourcing and fair trade practices, which I covered earlier. The community engagement, engaging with the local community, and thereby leading to the community development and empowerment. And supply chain transparency plays a very very important role. And sustainable transparency and promoting transparency and promoting accountability, and fostering plays a major role uh, in bringing sustainability and continuous improvement and innovation. Innovation and creativity plays a major role in overcoming the pressing challenges. And so the healthcare providers should create fostering a culture of innovation, fostering a culture of collaboration, and the continuous learning plays a very major role. And so these are the key elements in supply chain sustainability. What's the current scenario in healthcare? What are the limitations? If you look into the traditional conventional method, it was merely an approach of a demand and aggregation model, just like whenever we receive indeed, whenever the department receives indeed, explore which is the cheapest alternative, and going forward. And such a method, that a traditional conventional method, it is not aligned with the institutional strategy, like it is not connected with the performance, or it is not aligned with the clinical outcomes of the institution, and it is it's not connected, it's not an alignment with the patient safety activities of programs. This is the current scenario existing in most of the institution. An ideal supply chain should be in alignment with the institutional goals, like it should be in alignment with performance, it should be alignment with the clinical outcomes, it should be alignment with the patient safety, and addressing the three key interventional levels, like the three objectives of any supply chain, like process optimization, the consumption optimization, and also the cost optimization. These are the three objectives, alignment with this, so that the supply chain can achieve the triple aim goals of the healthcare, especially better care, better health, and the lower cost, which are the considered the three triple aim goals of any healthcare organization. What are the challenges in supply chain sustainability? One is the cost concern. The limited resources always becomes a very hindrance in implementing the sustainability practices. That is one of the major challenge in healthcare institution. Another the important challenge is the increase in the middle cost. As we all know, the middle costs always keep on increasing gradually, and that leads to reduces the margin, reduces the profit margin. Thereby, it raises a question on the sustainability of the particular institution. And another major challenge faced by almost every institution is the efficient preference or choice of brands on the products, because that is a major challenge faced by any institution. Because that could be the reason, like the reason could be like the efficient they not be aware about the impact of the materials or the brands that they prefer to use, that they recommend to use, that they use. So that is another biggest challenge. And the complexity, as we all know, healthcare sector is considered as the most complex sector among all the sectors, and due to its dynamic nature and complexity, and this one. And another important challenge is price capping. The National Pharmaceutical Pricing Authority, they have fixed a ceiling uh, amount for that big list of items, like that includes drugs, implants, and medical and surgical products. Thereby, the margin has been drastically reduced, and hospitals they start to suffer and to sustain themselves. And limited supplier engagement is another biggest challenge, and resistance to change. Whenever we implement sustainability practices, and there is always a resistance to change from almost all the stakeholders who are all involved in the supply chain uh, program. And supply chain disruptions, that is, like as I was mentioned, national and natural disasters, and uh, pandemics, like. And limited awareness and education. Because of the limited awareness and education among the staff, that is another biggest challenge, because they may not be aware about the sustainability practices and what is the uh, consequences of benefits of implementing the sustainability practices. And so that is a limited awareness. Yeah. These are the challenges in supply chain sustainability. And when we look at the evolution of the supply chain over the period, in 1990s and all, it was like it started like a, like a price management. There the target is determining the selling price of the equipment, and later on, like it is evolved into cost management, like what is the cost incurred in producing a product, and in the cost reduction, focus on the cost reduction. Then it was evolved into a strategic sourcing, identifying and selecting the right product, right vendor, and sourcing the products. And gradually it is moved on to the management of the different category of materials, and thereon into the value management, like the sequence of activities or processes taken by the organization in increasing the value, in adding the value in the entire supply chain process. This is how the evolution of the supply chain takes place over the last few decades. And when it comes to healthcare, this is approximate to the expenditure chart uh, in a healthcare industry. If you look into this
Vinod
graph,
sir, Vinod sir,
yes,
are you able to see the comments? Some comments you can probably address time to time, just to have a little less pressure at the end. Are you able to see the comments, sir?
no,
On your right hand side, you can see there is a comment, button or something. Are you able to see?
no, I don't see anything, because when I minimize this, when I no, when I escape this, the slide is becoming that's
You
not
just
a
go to your view, sir, where you are presenting,
no.
other than the
Only I can
screen.
see the slide, because when I escape, then it is going out.
Okay,
The total
so
slide disappears.
on
Means
the
disappears in the sense you
top
can see
right, can you
the
see? On the top right, you're not able to see.
no.
Okay, sir. On behalf of the participants, I just raise it. You can probably answer.
Ah, yes,
Uh,
yes, that's better.
Mr. Shomen Mukherjee, what is
Hmm.
asking is, please elaborate the point, the environmental impact in the sustainable supply chain management in hospital. That is one
Okay.
question, sir. Yeah.
Okay. See, the two major challenges in any healthcare institution is one is the usage of the expensive medical devices and thereby increasing the cost of the medical and surgical procedure, and that makes healthcare unaffordable and inaccessible to the majority of the population. That is the first major challenge, because every day, like the healthcare industry, they depend mostly on the imported devices or very expensive devices. Obviously the cost of the procedure also will get increased, and the increase in metal costs always taking place. Thereby the cost of the procedure is increasing, and thereby the it is unaffordable to the majority of the public. This is a major challenge. Another biggest major challenge is the huge waste generation from the from the healthcare industry. As I was mentioning in my introductory talk, 4.4 percentage of the greenhouse gas emissions is from the healthcare sector, which is a very huge percentage, 4.4 percentage. Imagine in the entire among all the sectors, the 4.4 percentage is from the healthcare sector, which is mainly due to the medical usage of medical devices, this one, and disposing it. So this is the big, this is the environmental impact that is creating for that healthcare. The healthcare sector is creating, and exercising pressure on the earth, that is the one and the only home. So this all the environmental impact, that is one. And so I'm going to share the best practices and strategies, how to overcome those challenges, how to have a no impact or very minimal impact on the environment. Because when we add this environmental, economic, and social, then only it becomes a sustainability. Earlier it was like only the as I was mentioning, only the reducing the cost was the sustainability in the normal sense, whereas when we say sustainability, that includes economic, environment, and the social impact. And when we look at this slide, there are three major expenditure in healthcare, institution. One is the salary part. Second is the administrative cost. The third one is the middle cost. Among these three expenditure, in salary cost we can't reduce it. Administrative cost, there's no scope in this two category. There's almost like there's no scope of further reduction. Where is the only chance, that is in the sustainable, in the supply chain, in the materials. That is the only area one can think about of cost reduction. And when we think out of the box, when we come up with some kind of best practices, best strategies like lean management principles, health technology assessment, and circular economy principles and strategies, and 4D and 5D music sustainable models in inventory management. So by adapting all these best strategies, we can reduce the cost, and thereby we can sustain ourselves, and also we can save a very huge amount, and those benefit can be passed on to the patient. So as I was mentioning, supply chain is the only area one can think about cost reduction. This clearly shows the significance of the sustainable supply chain. The supply chain, the future combination is going to be between the supply chain department of the hospitals, and it is not going to be this is, between the hospitals. Only the supply chain department is going to decide whether the particular institution is going to survive or sustain, or whether they can benefit the community or not. So this is a very this shows this is highlighting the important significance of the supply chain in a healthcare industry. This slide clearly shows that it is not the organization that are competing, it is the supply chains that are going to compete, particularly in healthcare, because this is the only department where one can think about of cost reduction, and that can benefit the institution, whereas in all other expenditure there are no scope, or there are very very limited scope. Now what is the strategy focus of supply chain sustainability? Like, one is by incorporating the sustainability criteria in organization purchasing evaluation is very important. Whenever we when we go for a procurement decision, we should consider this criteria, and developing a monitoring mechanisms and assessments to promote vendor compliance in the supply chain. That is very very important. Ensure that they are compliant with us, whether they adhere to the sustainable practices, whether they adhere to the ethical sourcing, whether they involve in fair trade practices, whether they involve in fair labor practices, whether the products are all manufactured under safe and very human working conditions. So this is another strategy, and still stimulating the innovation through crowdsourcing, functional specifications, and piloting other innovative strategies, and promoting and utilizing the partnership with companies that focus on innovation. We should always partner with the companies who strive on continuous improvement, who come up with innovative strategies on sustainable practices, and cost reduction strategies, and enhancing the high transparency standards and supply chain, that is transparency and also the accountability. Thereby we can disclose our information related to sustainable practices and the best environmental practices that our institution is having, and what is the impact, the social impact it is having. The best practices and strategies that we had implemented, what is the impact it is having on the society, and this can be our strategy focus. And what are the emerging trends in supply chain? One is the digitization and data analytics plays a very, as we all know, the digitization and data analytics plays a major role, and sustainable procurement already I have explained, and supplier diversity. By diversing the suppliers, not depending on a single vendor, and inclusion. As I was mentioning, we should engage, we should entertain our local community, local vendors, and sourcing locally, and promoting the responsible practices, sustainable practices, and resilience and risk management in supply chain, as I was mentioning. And we should have a business continuity plan. We should have a contingency plan. We should have no. We should be well prepared to face any kind of disruption, supply chain disruptions, such as like a natural disaster or anything like pandemics itself. And risk management is another one. We should always identify the risk, which are the major risks, which are the minor risks, which are the moderate risks, and we should have the strategies to overcome those risks, and we should have a plan B for all these activities, and thereby where we can mitigate this risk, and by mitigating we can maximize the value, and minimizing the uh, risk, and minimizing the impact due to risk. And sustainable packaging and logistics, whenever we choose packaging materials, ensure that these packaging materials are reusable and environmental friendly. And real time stock and supplies are very 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 important. We should have established reorder levels, reorder systems, and having a maximum order level, minimum order level, danger level, and having three-dimensional models that includes the ABC analysis, that includes that no, that includes the criticality of the item, lead time analysis. These are the three dimensions, and four dimension also we can implement. Like four dimensions, effective utilization of materials, thereby reducing the cost and passing the benefit to the community. And fifth dimension is choosing the cost-effective method. Because if you look into look into the various procedures performed in an institution, for a single procedure, there's a different ways of doing the same procedure. So among this, by doing a costing and choosing the cost-effective method, thereby we can this one. And another important trend is the carbon commitment to carbon neutrality and adopting the renewable energy mechanisms or strategies, and the stakeholder engagement and transparency. That's another very important one. We should engage the stakeholder, otherwise we can't get a better outcomes. Like who are all the stakeholders in healthcare institutions, right from the physician, nurses, and even the administrative departments, everyone, including who are all involved in the supply chain activity, involve them and engaging them. And particularly, one of the major challenge which I was mentioning is the physician preference brand. And as I was mentioning, the physician preference brand, because that is the main reason why the cost is shooting up, because they may come up with some kind of recommendation. I need a particular brand, I need a particular device. And because the reason when we do it, no, when we study it, the main reason is because they are not aware about the cost benefit, no cost impact of the materials that that their preferred brand is going to have an impact. So that is the main reason. So when we engage them, when we involve them in the procurement process, we see a more alignment towards the cost consciousness, the cost conscious activities of the organization. They are more in aligned, even though it is not 100%, at least the 70%. That is what the results. When we involve them in the program, they feel that they are consulted. When we consult them, they feel that they are involved, and so there's a more alignment is no adherence to the cost alignment programs of the institution. And circular economy practices another very important. As I was mentioning earlier, what we do, we manufacture, we use, we throw it. So here circular economy is more focused on extending the maximum the lifetime of the item to a maximum extent as possible. That's one. Then lean six sigma, this is another very emerging trend. When we say lean management, it is like in the entire supply chain, identify which are the non-value added activities and eliminate it. So that is the lean management. And Six Sigma, identifying and eliminating the risk, the causes of defects, causes of errors, those identifying and eliminating it. So when we adopt a Lean Six Sigma principles, when we adopt a Lean Six Sigma strategies, and which can be coupled with the circular economic practices along with the health technology assessment. That is another important emerging area in supply chain, whereas it's all about priorities, priority setting and availing the best possible outcomes with the limited resources. That's what the health technology assessment. And this health technology assessment is by doing the three analysis like cost benefit analysis, clinical effectiveness analysis, and utility analysis. By doing this analysis, we can arrive at a right decision. And the health technology assessment is a policy decision making tool wherein no, with limited resources, how can we take a right decision? So by adapting and implementing these trends, we can make our supply chain a sustainable, the best supply chain one, and thereby it benefits the institution, it benefits the community, it benefits the employee, but overall it leads to the uh, sustainability, addressing the which is comprising the social, economic, and environmental aspects. What are the basic principles? When we purchase an item, just we have to ask these questions whether this product is really needed or not. If it's not needed, don't purchase. Is the product is made in part or wholly from recycled material? This has to be confirmed. These are the questions we should ask, and we should get a right answer. Then if the answer reply is convincing, we can answer all these questions, then we can think about of procuring the particular product. This is a product is made from a material that come from a sustainable source. Is a product made from the material that can be recycled after use? That can, no, that is another important question. How energy and water efficient is the purchase? This is another important, because when we go for the best example I can say is the washing machine. when we go and see in the showroom and all, for example, yeah, washing machine, one washing machine is consuming 100 watts, the another washing machine is consuming 50 watts. The 100 watts might be a low cost, but over the lifespan of the equipment, when we study the total cost, cost incurred through the lifespan of the particular washing machine, the 50 watts, when the outright purchase may, the initial cost might be higher, but overall life cycle may, that cost might be lesser. So that is the cost efficient. So we have to study, we have to do a thorough study analysis, and we have to take a right decision. Avoid excessive packaging and avoid unnecessary transportations and all. And what is a sustainable product? The sustainable product should be durable, it should be easily upgraded and repairable, and it should be energy efficient and resource efficient and ethically sourced, whether the item is ethically sourced, and whether it is fit for purpose, or whether it is providing the value for the money that we pay, and whether it is made with a minimum use of virgin materials, and whether the item is from a non-polluting or minimal. Okay. And finally, the reusable and recyclable. So yeah, a sustainable product should satisfy all these characteristics and ensure that when we procure this, the product should address all these aspects. When we select a vendor, what are all the considerations? One is the economic consideration, whether the best value for money, whether the best value for price, quality, availability, and functionality. The same thing, like not only for economic consideration, we should consider for the environmental consideration also. That is a green procurement, which is having no impact or minimal impact on the environment. And as I was mentioning, the total life cycle of the product, lifespan of the product has to be considered, total life cost of the product or total cost of ownership has to be considered, right from the cradle up to the grave. Not only the initial cost when you purchase the item, that time it is a low cost. No, it should not be like that. And we should consider the total life cycle of the cost for the lifespan, and we should take a wise decision. And social considerations also another plays a very important role. What is the effect on the procurement issues on issues such as like poverty eradication, labor conditions, fair wages, human rights, whether it respects the human rights, all this has to be considered. So while we select a vendor, such considerations has to be done. What are the essential classes when we say implementing the sustainability practices? What are the essential classes that we can incorporate in the purchase order? The scope of work has to be very detailed, related to the sustainable practices, and pricing and payment, and delivery schedule and performance, and intellectual property rights, confidentiality and non-disclosure. These are the common terms and conditions. And along with this, indemnification, liability, termination clause, dispute resolution, change orders, and governing law and jurisdiction. Along with these classes, the certain sustainability classes has to be included. That's very, very important when we release a purchase order. And the environmental status, that has to be certifications, quality related, all this environmental related certification status that has to be clearly detailed. And the certifications has to be sought from the vendor. And whether the supplier code of conduct, that has to be very detailed, and certification, recycling, and disposal activities related to this particular product, that has to be very clearly mentioned in that PO. And the energy efficiency, that has to be mentioned, and local sourcing. As I was mentioning, the community engagement is very, very important. Social responsibility is another important class that has to be captured, and reporting and monitoring, regularly reporting and monitoring, that is very, very important. Until unless we monitor, we can't progress. And renewable energy, these are the sustainability classes which has to be considered. Now, what are the good practices in sustainable supply chain? When we purchase food products, what are the things we should consider? Consider food products with low levels of packaging. Yes, which are all having low levels of packaging, consider that. Only order the amount of food needed in order to reduce wastage, and where possible, buy food grown locally, as it helps the local agricultural economy. You should promote our local agriculture economy and reduce the pollution from long distance transportation. Avoid procuring items from a very long distance, and use jugs, and avoid the purchase of single serving catering packs of milk, sugar, etc., as this generate enormous amount of waste. And consider packaging which can be easily recycled. That's another important the criteria. Where practical, compost waste food, taking into account health considerations. Although the food waste which goes to land, we may think that food goes to landfill biodegrades and it does not have any impact. But this food waste also, it produces a methane, which is a greenhouse gas that leads to climate change, that leads to global warming. So even the food waste, which we may think that when it is when you put it to the earth, nothing is going to happen. It's not so. It produces a methane that will have an impact on the climate change. And consider the fair trade options is very important, like tea, coffee, bananas, chocolates, and look out for the mentioned what all the the food labels that has be we have to look out. We have to consider we have to consider all these criteria, and these are the good practices when we procure the food products. When it comes to IT equipment and consumables, what are all the practices? Buy laser printer and photocopiers with an ocean filter. Ensure equipment can produce double-sided copies. Whenever you procure, uh, take printout, ensure that we take a double-sided copies. Set equipment, including printers, to default to printing double-sided. Default, may keep it in default double-sided, and save settings to print on economy mode for daily printouts wherever practical. And specify the equipment that is energy efficient. Those that have the Energy Star label are silver standard. Specify the equipment with an automatic sleep or power down mode. And turn off monitors and computers whenever there are whenever you don't do is turn off. And consider buying equipment that can be easily upgraded. Whenever you purchase equipment, ensure that it can be easily upgraded, it can be easily repaired. Consider if you actually need to buy any equipment at all. What are the best practices while you purchase paper products, related products? Reduce the amount of paper used. Think before you print. Use scrap paper for notes. Print and photocopy double-sided. Use email rather than taking printout. Reuse envelopes, especially for internal distribution. Wherever possible, buy recycled paper that is comprised of at least 75% post-consumer waste. Consider recycled paper when commissioning publications. Always recycle wastewater that cannot be reused. Try to avoid buying paper which uses chlorine in the bleaching process. Wherever possible, buy totally chlorine-free peppers, or at least the elemental chlorine-free peppers. What are the good practices in cleaning material? Purchase products that are preferably 100% biodegradable. Purchase concentrated versions and dilute properly before use, as up to 90% of general purchase cleaner is water, which requires extra packing, energy, and resource to transport. Try to avoid products that contain chlorine bleaches. Buy products based on fruit and organic acids. Consider vegetable based cleaning products rather than petroleum, which take longer to break down and degrade. Try to avoid aerosols, as some are classified as hazardous once used. Use pump or trigger action sprays wherever possible. Try to specify against products that contain or have used ozone depleting. This is another very important. And where possible, give preference to manufacturers who take back the packaging for reuse disposal. When they supply the material may come with packaging material, and give preference to the vendors who take back those packaging materials. If possible, avoid excess and consider the bulk purchase. This are the very important good practices when we purchase, when we go for the cleaning material. When it comes to transport, reduce the use and impact of vehicles by reducing your journey. Is it whether your journey is really going to, is it really necessary or not? That's very important. Use public transport instead of using a separate vehicle for and cycle or walk is preferred. Then consider alternate technologies that produce less air pollution when buying vehicles, and consider buying the ultra low sulfur diesel or biodiesel for diesel engine vehicles. Consider the fuel efficiency when purchasing or leasing new vehicles, especially the latest Euro emission standards. And consider reducing the size and power of vehicles. Consider using retread tires and re-refined oil. In case of timber products, purchase timber and products from sustainable products, whether it is from sustainable products, those that take into account environmental implications. Specify the environmental standard for wood products when we release PO, and purchase the durable furniture and fittings with at least 5 year one. Ensure that we get a 5 year warranty. Ensure that this is all durable. Consider buying reclaimed timber and products made from a reclaimed timber. Whether these products are from a reclaimed timber, that ensure that. And when buying plywood and chipboard, ensure that they are manufactured with low formaldehyde resins and without formaldehyde glue, and from sustainably managed forest. What are the best practices now? Green procurement, which I have mentioned earlier, waste reduction, recycling, energy efficiency and conservation, water conservation measures, and promoting the responsible water reduction strategies, and ethical sourcing and fair labor practices, community engagement, and supply chain transparency and accountability, which I have detailed in my earlier slide. Now, next comes the circular economy practices. Circular economy, as I was mentioned, in this healthcare sector that prioritizes sustainability and resource efficiency while minimizing the waste and environmental impact. In circular economy, the resources are optimal, like because we are utilizing the resources very effectively, so that the resources are optimal. Thereby, the waste is minimized and sustainability is prioritized, and the cost effectiveness. Thereby, the cost effectiveness is achieved, and patient safety is maintained, and innovation and collaboration are encouraged. So, the circular economy practices. There are 9 R's. We might have heard about a few R's like reuse, reduce, recycle. These are the three always we used to see in different this labels we used to see in different places. There are 9 R's. Refuse. It starts from refuse. Whether the item is really required or not. If it is not required, refuse. Don't purchase. And reduce. Next is reduce. Whether the quantity whatever required is really justified or not. If it is not justified, procure the optimal quantity. Then reuse the item continuously to the maximum extent as possible. Repair whenever it is not working or non-functional state, just repair it. Refurbish it. It is like little advanced form of repair, like uh, taking the old item and converting into a look like a new condition and remanufacture. This is advanced form of refurbish, whereas disassembling and so that the product is made to a normal condition that meets the similar to that of a new equipment, and repurpose. Suppose we have used for a particular product, whether the same product can be used for some other purpose after the usage, initial usage. So recycle your behavior and recover the energy from this waste that has been for the waste, recovering the reclaiming the energy from the waste. So these are the 9 R's plays a very important role, and this plays a very major role in implementing in making a supply chain sustainable, and the 5 dimensional which I was mentioning in the earlier slide, that was based on this particular practice like effective utilization of material, and thereby almost 45% of the cost of the major projects can be reduced, and those benefits can be passed on to the society. And what are the challenges when we implement the circular economy process? One is the resistance. Whenever we implement certain things, we can expect a resistance to change and regulatory compliance. That's another important challenge. Infection control and patient safety. Another important, limited resources, because we'll be most of the time the institution will be running with limited resources that can hinder for implementing certain practices. Lack of expertise, another important one. So education and awareness. Pharmaceutical waste management, another important challenge. Supply chain complexity, another, because we deal with so many stakeholders unlike any other sector, and the complexity is more when compared to any other sector. The public perception, infrastructure limitation, another important. These are the challenges when we implement a circular economic practice. So what is the paradigm shift is happening in sustainable supply chain? Initially, it was a demand supply aggregator approach. It is moving to a cost quality outcome approach. Earlier it was a fragmented siloed approach. Now it is getting into a more integrated supply chain system. And earlier it was a technology driven. Now it is getting into a patient centricity driven. Earlier the more focus was into the energy efficiency. Now it is getting evolved into a resilience focus, especially after this COVID, and profit driven. Now it is getting evolved into a sustainability. This is a paradigm shift is happening in the healthcare supply chain. It is a holistic end-to-end approach. Does not only improve efficiency and reducing cost, but also results in better healthcare at lower cost to the patient. What could be a future fit supply chain model? It should be a robust, it should be very strong, agile, it should be very speed, resilient, bounce back to the normal state. It should be a clinically integrated. And unless a clinically integrated, it can't benefit. It can't bring better outcomes. So addressing the key intervention levels, the price optimization, process optimization, and consumption optimization. These are the three objectives of any supply chain, and and also addressing the three dimensions of sustainability: social sustainability, economic sustainability, and environmental sustainability. And thereby by doing it by adhering by adopting all these practices, we can achieve the triple aim goals, which is a better care, better health, and lower cost. Overall, what are the benefits of a sustainable supply chain? That leads to increased efficiency, that leads to improved clinical outcomes, that results in continual improvement, and that results in finally will end up in significant cost savings, and finally it will improve the revenue growth of the institution and maximizing the value and minimizing the risk, and the better relationship will happen between the clinical non-clinical stakeholders by adopting the best practice and strategies and eliminating risk. Eliminating means totally eliminate. Otherwise, suppose in case minimizing the risk and developing a contingency plan to handle those risks. Suppose in case if we can't able to eliminate it completely and reduces the errors and no or minimal every time we can't take a decision which is having a no environmental impact, but ensure that if it is not no, ensure that we will take a but a wise decision where it will have a very very minimal impact. And finally, the last but not the least, it leads to a highest level of patient satisfaction. So just I'd like to conclude with some case study. Like when we procure MRI medical equipment, high energy, high efficiency magnet, high strength magnets one is preferred, so that high strength magnets that require very less energy for operation while maintaining or improving the imaging quality, improved cooling system, advanced cooling system that reduce the need for constant energy cooling and contributing to the overall energy savings, and power management sort no, we have to select the equipment which is having a smart power management software and ensure that no, whether the items used are all recyclable and environmental friendly materials in their construction are aligning with the hospital's waste reduction goals, and whether the equipment is having a very longer lifespan and upgradability. That's very very important. Sustainable medical imaging equipment is designed with a longer lifespan and the ability to receive software upgrades and reducing the frequency of the equipment replacement and contributing to the resource conservation. And this is one of the another example. Like as I was mentioning, not only the outright cost, we should the total cost of the product, total life cycle cost has to be considered, or the total cost of ownership, rather than looking only at the acquisition cost. So the CFL lamp, the dollar is 83, whereas LED lamp is 112. So after when we calculate the total cost of ownership, the LED is found to be 25%, lesser, and that is the cost efficient method. So this is how the whenever we procure equipment or any item, the total cost of ownership has to be considered rather than the outright purchase cost. Uh, Thank you. So I'll conclude stating that sustainability plays, sustainable supply chain plays a very, very major role, especially in the healthcare sector, by reducing the expenditure, by reducing the waste, and making, sustaining, thereby sustaining the institutions. As I was mentioning in one of the slide, like the future competition is going to be between the supply chain departments and is not going to be between the hospitals. So sustainable supply chain plays a very very vital role in the healthcare sector. And now I conclude thanking the University of Hyderabad, the management and both the organizing team for providing me the opportunity to deliver a talk in this wonderful event. Thank you once again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Please stop sharing your screen, sir. Hopefully, you will be able to see the comments. Please stop sharing. Stop sharing, sir.
Yes.
Stop sharing that. Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
it is
correct,
done.
correct. Yes, stopped.
Yeah. Are you able to see the comments, sir? Comments.
Uh,
Look at your
yes, I can
right
see.
right
Uh,
hand side of the screen. There is a button called comments. You are able to see.
yes,
Then
yes,
back.
yes, yes, I'm going through it.
Yeah, please go through it, sir,
Uh,
one by one. Please respond.
is there a specific technology or tool you believe in underutilized in underutilized sustainable supply chain management today? I'll rephrase it in different way. Is there any specific tool to make a supply chain management sustainable? I understand this question in this way. So as I was mentioning, I was detailing some emerging trends and all. In that, the health technology assessment plays a very, very important role, and it's all about priority setting. It's all about, it aids in policy level decision making, wherein with limited resources, how to best avail the best possible outcome. So, the health technology assessment, along with the Lean Six Sigma concepts, uh, which can be coupled with circular economy principles, we can achieve a sustainable, we can implement a sustainable supply chain. We can have a robust, clinically integrated, sustainable supply chain management in healthcare. Sir, is another question is drugs package injections can be made sustainable. Yes, nowadays it's no, it is coming with a sustainable material. We have to explore, but not all. So just we'll know we have to discuss in detail to ensure that the package, even the material what they use, whether it is made of plastic or bottle or any other material, that can be. There are recyclable materials are used nowadays. So another question is supplier evaluation selection based on the environmental factors and companies society. This I have mentioned in one of the slide. Like we should evaluate the vendor while selecting a vendor. We should see all those criteria whether they meet this environmental, social, and economic criteria. Not only the economic and also the other social and social responsibility, social criteria, and environmental criteria. Those has been considered while selecting a vendor. I think medical waste disposal is also a challenge in supply chain sustainability. By one, there's one person mentioned. Yes, as I was mentioning, that is one of the top two challenge faced by the healthcare sector. Huge medical waste is generated. So we should have a sustainable supply chain. We should adopt a sustainable supply chain practices in our institution. Please elaborate the point which I had answered to the first two questions, the environmental impact and sustainable supply chain in hospital. I think I have covered all. Is it what else? What are some of the best examples of companies successfully balancing profitability and sustainability? Okay, I'll consider as a different methods, that can be used to balance profitability with sustainability. Correct. As I was mentioning, the four-dimensional and five-dimensional music model, multi-unit selective inventory control approaches and methods. Those can be very much uh, considered as a best example for balancing the profitability with sustainability. Wherein the fourth dimension, so actually I will mention about this five dimension. First is the ABC, which is based on the consumption value of the items. The second dimension is based on the criticality of the item. Third dimension is based on the lead time analysis. The fourth is the effective utilization of materials, thereby minimizing the waste and enhancing the efficiency. Operational costs will be reduced, and the benefit will be passed on to the organization, to the community, as well as for the growth of the employees. So these are the and this is a fourth dimension, and fifth dimension is choosing the cost-effective method. So this five-dimensional method can be a best example to no to bringing sustainability in the healthcare. Any example of company or corporate house? Yes, nowadays all the major hospitals they started focusing onto the sustainability aspects, and they started implementing the sustainability practices like energy efficient practices or energy efficient technologies, methodologies, and avoiding the long transportation routes, and avoiding the packaging material, and implementing the sustainability classes in purchase order, mentioning that encouraging the vendors who take back the uh, these materials, packaging materials, and entertaining the vendors who are all know the who where they indulge in, where they engage with the fair trade practices, entertaining those kind of vendors who are all in alignment with our sustainability goals. Is there any other specific policy or frameworks that have significantly improved sustainability compliance in? global supply chain. Yes, this is what no I was mentioning about the four-dimensional, five-dimensional one. Those are the frameworks. Those are the healthcare specific framework, and that's the reason it's a four-dimensional one. As of now, only the three dimensions were used. The fourth dimension was I know I had conceptualized and I had presented in the international conference hosted by the IAM Calicut. And the fifth dimension, I have added this the cost effective method, and that I had presented in a global expert seminar hosted by the Hamburg University, Germany. And this four-dimensional, five-dimensional, these are all the industry specific, particularly the healthcare specific, the cost, sustainable and the cost optimization frameworks that can lead to improved sustainability.
Sir, there are a few more questions. Can you please scroll back? Please scroll back, sir. There are a few more questions. Are you able to see, sir?
No, I have covered almost
You
the
are not able
last.
to see, sir? Okay. So maybe on behalf of the participants, I'd like to ask suppliers evaluation and selection based on their environmental factors and
Uh,
compliance with standards.
yes, I was mentioning, I was answered to this.
It's
Please,
like a
no, I had a
okay,
slide. I had a
okay,
slide
okay.
exclusively for that purpose. What
Then
all the sustainability
that
process to
was
be incorporated?
by Mr. AS. Then one more is by Miss Nagamani. What she's saying is drugs package injections can be made with suitable material, sustainable
Yes,
material.
yes, yes. I answered to that
Yeah.
because now
Okay.
no,
You already
not
answered.
all. Almost the pharmaceutical products now they are coming up with kind of no such kind of recyclable, reusable materials and all. So
Okay.
we have to when we procure, we should consider those products and we should entertain that.
Okay. So one more recent question, sir. Mr. Rahman is asking, how can companies measure the return on investment of sustainable supply chain initiatives?
The return on investment, the health technology assessment, as I was mentioning, it's all about no, it's about three analysis: health technology assessment, cost benefit analysis, clinical effectiveness analysis, and utility analysis. When we procure any item, when we do this three analysis, we can arrive out right decision of choosing the right product.
Okay, sir. So I think you finished all the questions, sir. No more
Yes,
questions.
yes.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you very much, sir, on behalf of the school and the university and Merit One USA. I would like to thank you very much for
Yeah.
speaking to our participants on customer-centric sustainable supply chain, especially in the healthcare. And we definitely look forward to the similar kind of cooperation in future events as well. So thank you very much, sir.
Okay.
We'll stop your presentation here. And
Okay. Thank you
if you
so
wish,
much.
you can be here in the studio, sir, for some time. To watch the other speaker. And thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so
So,
much.
participants, yeah, you would like to say something, sir? We'll
Okay.
conclude
Thank
your.
you so much. My thanks to the University of Hyderabad and also to all the participants for patient listening.
Thank you very much, sir. So, today with Vinod Kumar sir, with us Maheshwaran sir. He is from Sri Lanka, and he's basically um, representing. Just a moment, sir. Um, Representing this Peradeniya University in Sri Lanka. And Sir is going to basically talk on knowledge transfer spillovers for social innovation in apparel value chain in B2B industry. So, Vinod sir, you can be there if you wish. Okay, I think Sir has left. Welcome, sir, to the event. Maheshwaran sir, you're able to hear us?
You.
Sir, you have muted yourself.
Yeah, thank you for having me,
Yeah.
and I can hear you well. Yeah.
Yeah. So just two, three
Uh,
minutes of break, sir. 3 minutes of
okay.
break. Participants need to little get refreshed. So 2, 3 minutes. In the meantime, you can share
No
your screen,
problem.
sir. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
Alakya,
do
hope
that.
you are available.
Yes, sir, I'm
Yeah, I'm
available.
available.
Yeah. So please be
Mm.
there, sir. You can just get refreshed and start sharing your screen.
Right. Okay. Okay. Yeah, you share the screen. A couple of minutes break.
Good evening, sir. Welcome back, all the participants. Can you please switch on your camera, sir?
Yeah.
Alekya, can you switch on your camera?
Yes, sir.
So once again, welcome everyone to the second session of the day. We have with us Professor Maheshwaran from Peradeniya University. So before sir starts his session, I would like to request our scholar, Miss Alekya, to briefly introduce sir to the audience. Over to Alekya.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yes, it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Gnana Maheshwaran, who is currently working as a senior lecturer at Department of Operations Management, University of Peradeniya, Sri Lanka. He has done his PhD from Norwegian University of Science and Technology, Norway. He received ISLE Fellowship 2010 to 2013, NCAS Scholarship 2010 to 13, Quota Scholarship for PhD students in Norway. Some of his interest areas are space and place in the context of operation management and facility location analysis, humanitarian operations, extractive industries, and CSR, climate change and resilience mobility, business for peace and social enterprises, and sustainable disclosure. I welcome you, sir, to the session and share your valuable insights on knowledge transfer as spillovers for social innovation in apparel value chains and business to business industry. Welcome you, sir. I hand over the session to you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Alekya. Thank you, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much for having me. Um, it's my pleasure to present you this particular topic on knowledge spillover or knowledge transfer for social innovation in apparel value chain in B2B market. And this is one of our ongoing research.
Sir,
It's
sorry
my
to interrupt,
pleasure.
sir. Your voice is not clear. Uh, please see, sir, once. Check it once.
Okay.
Yeah, it's better, sir.
Thank you.
It's better. It's
It's
better,
better
much
now.
better.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Right. So this topic is one of our ongoing research with my colleague Midhurshan, and we have been working on for some time. This topic of knowledge transfer or spillover for social innovation in apparel value chain in B2B industry, particularly in Sri Lanka. And we have um, studied for about 5 or 6 large-scale B2B industries which are functioning in Sri Lanka, and they are, of course, part of global value chain value chains. With that, I would like to introduce my university in Sri Lanka. This is called University of Peradeniya, which is started in 1942 under the name of University of Ceylon, and then it is renamed as University of Peradeniya in 1978. And this university is also known as Garden University and also a residential university, which is located in the central province of Sri Lanka. It's a huge landscape, huge area, and with a lot of we inherited the plants, and we have around 9 different faculties and several postgraduate units, and we have around 800 academic staff members. I think this is the largest university in Sri Lanka. So I'm representing this university. So I thought I should explain you where I am coming from. Right. So in my presentation today, I'm going to highlight you these important the points. One is the global value chain and its actors, particularly referring to the apparel industry. And we will um, discuss or we will explain the concept of knowledge transfer or knowledge spillover, how that element is supporting social innovation practices um, in apparel industry, and referring to the cases which we are working with. And then we will also highlight how the vendors along this value chain, the suppliers in the Western world, become more powerful and influential for transferring the knowledge or kind of the informations, how the cost countries or the companies take it as maybe knowledge transfer or knowledge spillover. And then finally, we will look at it how these companies in Sri Lanka basically localize the social innovation practices in their company, and also we will discuss some of these problems and limitations in order to adapt the way the vendors explain and how the companies are trying to make it their own practice as a situated practice. So these are the area we will be covering today's talk. And before that, I think many of you aware that Sri Lanka is one of the very first country which introduced the apparel industry. And if you look at it, in 1993, we introduced well before Bangladesh. Um, but unfortunately, our global competitiveness is very low in the regions. And this is due to the fact of high level of labor turnover um, from this industry. And that is a huge problem in Sri Lanka, and particularly the machine operators who employ in the industry, uh, they want to leave after particularly after their marriage. And so as a result, our global market share in this, you know, in this sector is very low in the regions, but it was sometime better than some other countries. But India has performed well, and but there's a decline. But if you look at it, Bangladesh and its contribution is much higher in terms of global rank in export performance when it comes to this apparel sector. And my PhD student who has done a survey very recently, and he interviewed around 2,000 employees who worked in this sector, why they left the company. And this pie chart shows the reasons they left this particular sector, particular employment, and majority of the reasons stated that is marriage, and then child care, and the low salaries, and work family conflict, poor social recognitions, and punishment, work pressure. So those are the highlighting the factors among those who left from this apparel sector. So this is one of the serious concern to the country, um, in relation to improve this important industry, because I think many of you know that now Sri Lanka is facing serious economic crisis, and if the countries wants to recover or resilience, and it is important to make this sector more life. That is one of the important priorities of the government. Now, I also will highlight some of these issues with regard to this labor, because um, this is, I think, this is the main export industry in this country, and the actors in the value chain, and my point, our thesis is that nowadays increasingly the global buyers are influencing a lot to make the sector more socially responsible. So we will discuss two cases thereafter, and then conclude that. And before that, you could see some of the highlights in existing literature. There are These literatures are not very positive with regard to these employees who are working in this sector, like you know factory owners or the managers often fire the pregnant mother from the companies, okay, which is very much highlighted, and fire people who engage with union actions, and keep a blind eye on male managers sexually harass the female. And is also, very much not only the news and even the literature coming up, the news is coming up is not very positive. And Sibalo Dasan is also stating that many factories do not adhere to the laws or the regulations imposed by the government, and also they are not paying EPF or ETF. So a lot of news you could see in this sector. Now, if you look at it, the global values of apparel sector, and if you look at it, the production is mainly happen wherever the low cost is possible, and this is where many of these value additions happen, and whereas other elements in these value chains are more or less upward and looked after by these developed countries. Now, in case of Sri Lanka, we get the imports or raw material fabric from India or China, and then we do this making of cloth, and then we sell it to Western country, particularly Europe and Scandinavian countries, and this is an example of B2B, sector. So this is the basic framework of global value chain. And how we are analyzing here is that, and we are putting this value chain into three sector: primary, secondary, and tertiary sector. And now we are trying to explain how these actors, the tertiary um, you know actors in tertiary sector influencing the companies in the developing countries, particularly in Sri Lanka, in order to adapt the good practices. Now, if you look at it, what is global production network? Is new concept emerging, and in replacing the value chain concept of Porter, and which is now become very socio and political, the concept. And the global production networks ideas also explain how actors in this network you know share this knowledge, and the knowledge shares or innovation transfer, innovation diffusion is one of these the common elements or in this network. So we will be talking about how, particularly in this B2B market, how these vendors become you know the powerful and transfer knowledge, and how these local companies and the production companies take it in their practices. That is the whole idea of today's discussions. Now, if you look at it, what is knowledge transfer and the spillover? And this is also we will look at it how this happen in intersector and also across the sector. That is one element. And the knowledge transfer basically refers to the process which knowledge is passed through one party within a value chain. This transfer is essential for innovations, for creating new business model or sustainability transition in industry. Whereas knowledge transfer is something how the companies in the value chain um, take it something as granted, and knowledge spillovers often occurs unintentionally. There's no any conditions, there's no any agreement or no compensations, and that naturally spread beyond this original transfer. And we saw in our research findings is this says that the both happening, like knowledge transfer is also happening, and also knowledge spillover is also happening in this industry. And if you look at it, the basic typology of innovation actors. Give me a minute. Right. If you look at it, the innovation actors in value chain, and if you look at it in the cross sectoral cross sectional no knowledge field of where the theory suggests that there is a possibility of incremental innovation, and which is basically um, common among the small or the new companies, and it is also very much possible for these specialized companies. And when it comes to this incremental innovations, which is possible, but it's happened among intra-sectoral, from primary sector to tertiary, something like that, and also um, happen within the large or established company, and where these companies also focus on diverse the product. Now, if you look at it, apparel sector, you have small SMEs and large scale businesses, and also the medium. And our cases are basically like large or medium scale, and we didn't do research in small scale companies. And we are looking at the knowledge transfer across the sector among the large scale companies. And what is social innovation? And as the previous speaker stated, three pillars in sustainability, and one of which is the social sustainability. And the social innovation is also slightly different from corporate social responsibility. And this is something how the companies incorporate new ways of doing, organizing, knowledging, and framing that ultimately change social relations. And this is a kind of a paradigm shift, and this is not like a CSR, and how the companies take these elements as serious and trying to make it in their day-to-day practice. So social innovations involves transformation in social relations through organizational change that solve social issues. And so we will bring some examples like MJ Penguin. Even you find it MJ Penguin MJ apparel in India. And I don't know, I'm allowed to use a real name, uh, but we will limit the real name. But they have this company um, is doing or exporting this cloth to this European market, and they have so many women empowerment projects. One of which is very very famous. That's called Tarani, and which take a lot of initiatives to make safer the workplace environment in order to retain the employees. And social innovations also the new social practices that aim to meet social needs in a better way than the existing solution, resulting from bringing a better conditions, educations, and community development or health. And we conceptualize in our paper that social innovation is how companies change the social relations through new ways of doing and organizing, framing, and moving as a day-to-day practice of their business. So it is noted that social innovation is a type of social practice and situated practice, and the way the people decide, act, behave, and alone and together. So it's a very broad, concept, and at the end, it is a social practice, and we cannot generalize anything common. And social innovations practices adopted by the companies in Sri Lanka may be different from what is adopted in India. Very much depend on their culture and their embedded practices. So this is also other concern now we are looking at. And there are a lot of debates and scholarly arguments and going on, and I'm not going to elaborate everything, but what is important is uh, if the companies is really social and adapting the social part of sustainability elements, and they have to change their mindset, and the companies should really intend it social if they are using social means. And some scholars even arguing that the organizations are social and they are interacting with several stakeholders while creating values, and also the companies also create sociality at the end. So it is also a matter of the social relations and social organizations that focus on particular social setting. And there are several social innovation practices being discussed in sustainable value chain literature. For example, empower participatory leadership and governance, develop fair and effective and accountable institution, embrace diversity and build a community, ensure equal access to holistic education and healthcare, and cultivate inclusive, responsive, and transparent decision making, and practice conflict facilitations, communications, and uh, peace building skills. So these are the specific social innovation practices now recommended by these scholars, and we'll see how these elements are going on, and in these in these in these cases. Now, I always highlight Thiruvalluvar's he's a famous Tamil poet, and I think many of you may be aware about it. And whenever I teach my students, I always bring the Valluvar's wisdom to explain these ethical practices in companies, like whatever the ways you do your day-to-day practice, and make sure every actions, every steps you take in your life or in your business, whatever, make sure that is done in an ethical manner. So I think it is very important, and also it's our local values, and this is what now even the Europeans also trying to trying to impart this the concept to these local companies. Right. Now, when it comes to this vendors' influence on apparel productions, and I have few examples. You could see that uh, a Swedish apparel vendor who has set social innovation to be achieved by 2025. I think all the companies who supply apparel products to this particular vendor should adhere to the following aspects, like 80% of the product should be recyclable, biodegradable, and retailers encourage manufacturers to use responsible raw materials. Most raw materials are nominated by the retailers. Now the vendor itself nominate the retailers where you should buy fabric. And the sustainable practices, and they also mention that materials like ham and lyocell's, bamboos are biodegradable. They're specifically, saying that, go for that. And this is what they call it, like nominated suppliers. And these companies here, they have to work with these nominated suppliers. And then one of these European apparel vendor who has introduced this responsible business contact guideline published in 2022 with the goals to achieve by 2025. So focus on reducing greenhouse gas emissions and water consumption, because in apparel, productions requires more water consumptions, and encourage renewable energy projects with wind and solar power for suppliers in Asian region. So these are uh, some of these influences which happened from these vendors' side. And you can bring so many examples, like Kuku Boss is also a popular vendor, and who is emphasizing the companies, the local apparel production companies, to ensure the ethical code of conduct for suppliers, because they are very careful in selecting specific suppliers. They call it nominated suppliers, and they also come and sometime audit every 6 months whether the companies adhere to their regulations, and employees in the manufacturing plants are treated as an asset, and they must be well served and protected. And manufacturing plants are audited, and there will be an annual visit to the factories, and then they talk to and they observe whether the companies are adhered to the standards, and also they identify the vendors' requirement and whether they are meet in whether those needs are met in these long-term business successes. And also they look at it how the companies are working with stakeholders in order to ensure the social innovation practices, and and how they address you know the social issues these companies are experiencing. And this is also important for these companies growth and their survival, and ultimately for their legitimacy. And if you look at it, a couple of examples like, and this is the Brentex, and they have a project called Space, which is which aim to enhance the personal advancement and career progressions. And this is one of the huge company in Sri Lanka, and they have a lot of female empowerment projects. Particularly targeting about them, females' wellness and their work-life balance, and also um, their the path towards the supervisor now. Now, many companies practicing that the machine operators can go up to the managerial levels. And other companies like Tarani projects offered implemented by another companies doing a lot of similar type of work, for employees. They call it Tarani project, which is primarily aimed with female empowerment. No, female empowerment. And if I refer to this Tarani project implemented by the MJ company, and which is started in 2024. And we had a couple of interviews with them, and we are now transcribing their interviews. And but they stated that this project has been introduced in 2023 in order to comply with sustainable development goals, and which is focusing more on female employment, because our apparel sector heavily, particularly when it comes to these machine operators, they are females. I think 100% of them are female. And the focus of the Tarani project is women empowerment. Particularly, they are empowering the women's economic standards, believing that the economy will lead to their social and political empowerment. Therefore, they do a lot of training program for financial literacy, also promoting saving habits among females. And there are a lot of competitions and programs, debates are going on in order to improve the gender equality. And they also go for several programs for recognizing the role of their work, and the awarding ceremonies are also happening. And also these Tarani projects also promote entrepreneurship among these machine workers, so that they can diversify their income during the weekends or off hours. So there are many the ways the company is trying to promote their economic status. Right. And if you look at it, some specific quotes that come from this employee, because we have interviewed around 25 machine operators um, in these case studies, and they have stated several no, they have stated different ways how they have been recognized. And if you look at it, the first one, social innovation in this B2B apparel value chain, driven by the transfer of knowledge that's foster pro-sociality at every level of production. So knowledge sharing creates a pro-social culture focusing on well-being of workers, communities, and environment. environment, and respondent 4 explained that our factory is based on an environment that is located in a community with different needs. We are responsible for everything. So the company is trying to give more responsibility for these the workers, and this also implies that the social sustainability is very, very important. That is the pathway for companies to survive or continue to contribute. And sustainability is not just about environment; it's the way the socially innovate by creating healthier workplace for employees. And many of them have highlighted, and many projects are being targeted at environmental friendly approach and sustainable water usage and cleaner productions are very popular. And inclusive recruitment and promotions are promoted, like there is kind of transparency is included, and also females given kind of the ownership of the companies. A certain percentage of ownership is given to the employees, and also employees given opportunity to grow from machine operators to supervisor. And this company, the MDP influence target like 20% of their supervisory levels employees should be females. So that kind of targets are now being implemented. So, and if you go for there are several ways, success stories of employees, how employees who work in the companies and bring a lot of changes to the company, not only um, their the household and how they are contributing for the companies. So the success story has been taken, and that should be that is taken to empower rest of these employees. So I think this is also a very powerful tool when it comes to the companies, and the case organizations are very much working on the success, creating successful stories among the female the workers. And the Tarani project, of course, I have mentioned before that that is mainly focusing on empowering women and promoting gender equality, and so many programs have been targeting. And then fundamental belief of this particular project is that economic empowerment help the females to improve their social recognition, and also their social status. So that is very much highlighted among these the employees as well as the managers. And CSR is also important concept, but CSR and social innovations are two different entity for me. Like CSR is very much ad hoc, whereas social innovation is something is the ways in which companies changing the social relations and how they are trying to embed it, the new elements in social relations in their business model. That is the whole idea of it. And we have discussed several of such the cases and examples previously. And finally, um, our paper basically conclude that the retailers or the vendors in this Western the world, they are sharing a lot of information, and some of them are going as guidelines, and some of them are going in the form of knowledge spillover, and which are very, very important for them to introduce social innovation practices, which are crucial for the survival. Here, the sustainability means the survival of apparel sector for a long time, and if the company, if the sector to be alive in Sri Lanka. And this is very, very important and very, very important to keep or retain the employees because the apparel sector is labor intensive, and retaining these trained employees crucial. And now this is somehow happening in some companies, and I hope this will be replicated replicated in other companies also. And these practices may help this apparel sector alive in Sri Lanka. So that is my last point, and thank you so much for listening. And if you have any specific questions, and I will take it up now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your presentations. I have already posted. Let us give them a moment for their questions. Yeah, are you able to see the comments, sir, on your right side?
Yeah,
Mr. Rahman has asked a question. Are you able to see it, sir?
yeah, I could see that. Yeah, what are the differences? What are the key differences? Wait. What are the key differences between intentional knowledge um, transfer and unintended knowledge transfer in apparel industry? I think it's very important questions like when you talk about intentional knowledge transfer, which is something conditional, like you do that, then only I will buy. So the condition is imposed, and whereas unintended is unconditional, and which is which is happening as taken for granted persons. Fashion, there's no any conditions imposed for this unintended knowledge spillover to happen. But in our research, we are trying to see both direction is happening. Like there's an intentional knowledge transfer also happen, and an unintended way. There are some other things also happen. Now, if you interview the managers in companies, they don't like to say that this is the requirement of vendors, but what they are trying to say that as a responsible company, and we are trying to adapt UN standards on sustainability, and this is how it's going up. All right. I hope I have answered that. Sir, is there any other questions?
Any other questions from anyone? Yeah.
Yeah. What will be this? What will you suggest future researchers to focus on social innovation in supply chain? Because supply chain is very broader concept, and and it is also part of our culture and part of day-to-day practice. And every culture has their own face, own way of adaptation, and that is very much depend on their situations. So the researchers can look at it, the social innovation practices in a different level, and I encourage to go for qualitative kind of inductive kind of research that will help you to you know come up with new ideas about social innovation practices. Right. How can this apparel industry offer fast and affordable fashion while reducing impact and without losing profit and solving product turnover? Now, here in my cases, the main problem they experience is labor turnover, and it's very costly for a company. For example, the machine operators who work for last 20 years, once they get married and they want to leave, so it's very costly. So retaining them is crucial. And I hope this new social innovation practices help the companies to keep this sector alone. And second thing is the fashion industry is moving very fast, and you have to learn quickly what is the in each and every dynamics when it comes to this the customer's expectation, and you should be able to understand that and how you're going to translate into the fashion, which is very very important. And now there are a lot of R&Ds and organization learning practices are taking place in this sector. So I think they have to quickly learn from the market and then adapt. This is where their success is, concentrated. Besides apparel sector, in which other industry social innovation is more visible and impactful. Yes, not only this sector and everywhere, like even in the agriculture sector, for example, it requires social innovation practices. And if you take this concept in agriculture, particularly the plantation in Sri Lanka, there are a lot of issues. Our Indian the workers still their socioeconomic condition is very very low, and they have been treated very differently, and their social status is very very low. So if anyone think the plantation, particularly the tea industries, tea and coffee industries should grow, the company should look at it. At least government should introduce the basic requirement of employees, which is very very important. So social innovation practices are not only limited to the apparel, and you can apply anywhere you have. And thank you. It's a student from this university. Okay, so Dilga is one of our student, and she's yeah. How do consumer preferences and awareness impact knowledge transfer? The consumer preferences and awareness impact. Yeah, this is also very important. I think we have a lot of examples, and because this B2B industries and the huge, suppliers like HH, they have a close connection with consumers in the Western, particularly in the Scandinavian countries. And these consumers now become more knowledgeable, and they are more sustainable, and they are looking for the cloth which made with recyclable the material. So their preferences are very very important, and it is the company's responsibility to understand what customers expect, particularly in a developed world. How can we predict the future by empowering women and promoting gender equality? How can we predict the future by empowering women and promoting gender equality? And we the today's situation, and male and the females are equal. Gender equality is very very important, and the society, when if you look at it, Sri Lankan and some one sections of Sri Lankans are very much patriarchal, and whereas others are opposite of it, matrilinear, society. And so we have a mixed, the feeling about this gender and women empowerment, but it is the future now. Women's are increasingly becoming this education sector now. If you look at my university, 80% of our students are female, and they are become very much educated in the future. So their rights and their equality is very very important. I think that will play a huge role in the future. Yeah, I think I have answered all the questions. Is there anything else?
I think all the questions you are very successful answered, sir, and thank you very much, sir, on behalf of the School of Management Studies, University of Hyderabad, and Merit One Incorporation USA. So thank you very much. So one last question by Mr. Rahman once again.
So, what are the next big trends in knowledge transfer for sustainability? Yeah, this is now. Now we are talking about the digital era, and a lot of new rents are coming up, and so I think is the technology will be the huge, okay, or trend in knowledge sharing for sustainability, and uh, we have to look at it. Who has the real knowledge, and what is knowledge, and what is permanent knowledge, and where it is located, and whether it is in the west or here, and we should. I think we have to look at it that what is the real knowledge,
Thank you, sir.
right?
Thank you very much once again. I think Professor Azarul is here. Would you like to say something, sir?
Yeah. So thank you, sir. Maheshwarji, thank you. Thank you very
Thank
much
you,
for
sir.
your wonderful session and a lot of insights on the sustainability in the industry, that you have done a lot of research, and you have given very good insights to research scholars and academicians and practitioners. So within a short period of time, you have agreed to deliver the session. Really great, sir. And hope
Yeah,
to see you have see you for many more sessions like this. And also we'll have collaborations like this, and this is a starting
yeah.
point, and then we'll continue, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your
Yeah, thank you, sir.
listening.
Now, what you have asked you to do this, no, sustainable supply chain practices in agriculture and food industry, and that's very, very interesting, topic. But unfortunately, I didn't have time, because when it comes to the food security
Yeah,
and and
we'll have
and uh, and very much we rely on India,
sir.
and so there's big onions and dal and even rice, okay, and without Indian support we cannot survive, and local production is now very much stagnated, and the rice supply is very, very important, and our Sri Lankans eat rice three times in a day, so we need more rice. So the India is providing a lot, right?
Yes, sir. On behalf of School of Management Studies, University, we are very much thankful to you, sir.
Thank you,
And,
sir. Thank you so much,
so,
and it is also a great opportunity for me to speak um, in your school, and we will have contacts.
yes, sir. Yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you so. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, all the participants. Catch you tomorrow once again. Thank you very much, everyone.